Welcome to Inner Peace, Better Health. Today, we step into a conversation that speaks directly to the heart of anyone craving meaning beyond the daily grind. Our guest, Baiba Wisse, host of the Career in Technicolor podcast and creator of the Your Career Alchemy Method, has walked the long corridor of external success while feeling her inner light dim. Her journey from corporate achievement to soul aligned purpose is not only compelling, it's a roadmap for anyone sensing that their spirit is calling for something more. In this episode, we explore what it truly means to find and activate your purpose with energy, clarity, and unapologetic authenticity. Baiba, it's so nice to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, so good to be here, Charu. Nice to meet you and great to connect with everybody listening.
Yes, great, amazing. So, Baiba, you talk about sacred purpose. How do you define that, and why do you think so many people feel disconnected from theirs?
Those are two big questions. In terms of the sacred purpose and what it is, I define it as that feeling, that feeling that's planted in your heart where you know that you came here for something more. There is something bigger. There's that call on your heart that keeps pushing you to keep going and that this is
Mhm.
not it.
Yes, yes. And what you said also makes me wonder when someone feels that quiet inner tug but can't really name it, what's the first step to uncovering it?
Mm. The first step is stopping. I would say stopping and actually listening to it and
Mm.
actually giving it validity because like you said that many times you can feel it and I felt it for years. But what we do is we plug into the day to day, right, as we know it, and we kind of keep overriding it. We don't validate it enough,
Mm.
and then we don't act on it.
Yes,
I
yes.
have like, yes, it's there, but then I have my life, right? And so I will keep going the track that I know.
Mm. True. I feel like what you said reminds us that for purpose to kick in, to realize what our purpose is, we need to stop and start listening inwardly, right?
Yes, exactly. Because it is as straight and sometimes silly and annoying and frustrating as it sounds, it is encoded inside of you. I call it, it's within your essence.
Hmm. Yes, right. And which also brings me to our next question because listening becomes even more crucial when you have spent years pushing through a life that no longer feels yours. So, Baiba, you spent 15 years climbing the corporate ladder while feeling your enthusiasm fade. What was the turning point where you realized something has to shift?
Mm. I think there wasn't one turning point. Maybe many people will relate because life is not linear. It's not like it's all bad, right? If you are in work that you feel kind of this calling for something more, that something is out of alignment, then there's, we go up and down, it gets better, worse, it's not like it's all completely unbearable usually. So it was a different, like, it's a combination of inner and outer circumstances
Hmm.
that really kind of started where I started taking steps. But it was mostly because I actually started to activate it within myself. So I started taking the steps along the way. So it's probably been over the 15 years that I've been taking, small steps, sometimes some steps back, so it hasn't been like one moment where the angels were singing, and I turned everything 360 degrees around. It's been a process. It's been this
Mm.
beautiful unfolding. But I think in the last year, I really kind of have accelerated the lighting fire under um, my own bum, if you will. And that is really my purpose and my intention with my podcast and the mentorship that I do is that sometimes we just need to have either ourselves that burning desire or light that fire under ourselves or somebody else do that to activate it, to pursue it, and more aggressively to
Mm.
step into it.
True, true. And Baiba, these signs, both internal and external, do you think they were there way before you acknowledged them?
Yes, I mean, that's a very interesting question. I think that these signs were there from childhood.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that like you have the power, anybody listening, that power is in your essence, right? And kind of,
Mhm.
I think the second question you started in the beginning was why do we lose it? I think was the question. Why do we lose the connection to that purpose or why don't we know it?
Why don't we realize that the like exact meaning of purpose?
Yeah, so I can speak just to give my own example, um, is that the
Mm.
disconnection from my own essence that started happening in early years of childhood and the conditioning of this world.
Yes, yes, true. And Bible, I feel like once we acknowledge these signs, once we accept, once we see them for what they are, the real question becomes, what do we do next? So let's talk about your career alchemy process, right? See, your career alchemy process blends inner essence with practical transformation. What does that process look like for someone who feels drained or directionless, or as you mentioned, disconnected?
Yeah. So it is, there are several steps, but one of the examples or one of the aspect is definitely starting to nourish yourself, start to nourish what is actually missing in your own energy level. I know your podcast is focused on inner peace and better health. So we hear a lot about manifestation. So you are a powerful creator. So this is why I call it the Your Career Alchemy Method is really a purpose activation. And to activate it, aka to manifest it, you have to have energy and health. So I will say it is individual. So I work with people one on one, but one of the aspects is that it does take energy to manifest and to
Mhm.
create your destiny. So health, sometimes we are just so drained by not living life on our own terms
Mm.
that we need to refuel energy. Like, for example, sometimes we can be so sleep deprived, right? So, if that's the case, it will be very hard to wake up and start to have enough energy to manifest what your heart desires. So, I mean, I love kind of the intention and goal of your podcast because it is a baseline for manifesting and really starting to wake up and live life more on your terms, including work.
Hmm. Yes, yes. And I feel like the first step starts from the inner self, working on our inner selves. But I also feel like there might be people who resist, start working on their inner self. Have you found anyone like them? And if you did, how will you encourage them to start working on their inner self?
Of course, there's like a lot of the world resisted, right?
Mhm.
A lot of the world will keep you distracted. That the answers are outside of you.
Mm.
That is the narrative,
Yeah.
right? You need thing, this product, this guru, this teacher, this um, whatever it is, insert, for you that you've thought, like book, right? All these external answers, wisdoms, things, but really, it's kind of like this tale. I don't remember the origin of the tale. I think it's been attributed to Native Americans, but I think that there are different, versions of this tale. Is that, you know, um, God or some kind of like wise person
Mm.
uh, was thinking about where to hide the biggest treasure, from humans. And, they thought about like, I'll hide it on the moon, but then they knew, well, humans will figure out a way to get there, and find their way to the moon to hide it somewhere in a deep forest or, another external place like a cave, or a nest like of an eagle. And um, they dismissed all of those options because they knew that the man or the woman will end up, making their way, forcing their will and figuring it out, right? Because we have this powerful mind, right? And this force and willpower inside of us. But then, God decided to hide it within our heart, within us. And that is the last place we look. So that will be most of humanity, what you just described. And it's really not I don't see it as my job to convince anybody. I am saying, come along with me if you're ready, right? There comes a point when you ask for that turning point. There comes a point where you just get sick of yourself. You get sick of your life as it is. You get too drained, too tired, sometimes health scares sometimes, many times takes something to happen to push you, an external event. You might be laid off. You Again, you might just like everything just might come crashing down. You might just be so exhausted that you just know that you can't function this way anymore. So whatever it is, I my purpose is really to guide you, like, and to say, "Come along if you want this," right? Light the fire under yourself. You have it inside of you, so let's go. Let's activate it.
Yes, yes. I feel like we humans, just like any other animal, have so many weaknesses, but the biggest weakness is something that we've created for ourselves. It's like snatching away the ability to look inside ourselves. So I guess the very first step is to accepting that inner alignment may be uncomfortable at first, but it is something that is what ultimately gives you the freedom, I guess. Right?
Yeah, yeah. I love it how you said that we kind of created it for ourselves,
Yes.
um, and it will be uncomfortable in the best of ways, but there is no way to it but through it. But
Mm.
it won't be as uncomfortable as living somebody else's life and building somebody
Mm.
else's dream. I mean, I think that is the most uncomfortable thing, to think that you will it's like the biggest regret of the dying
Mm.
is when you're on your deathbed, is thinking, "What if I had lived life on my own terms?"
Mm. Right. That's the and thinking of that at that moment feels like you're doing it very late. You're thinking about it way too late, I feel like. Maybe start questioning, or maybe start accepting that you can live your life on your terms at this very moment. And I do understand that it's easier said than done. So all I can do is just encourage our listeners to maybe rethink for once what you can do better in your life. Maybe start with living on your own terms. And I feel like it, yes, I feel like inner alignment is a process. And once someone brings up this courage to start the process and taste that freedom, the next
Mhm.
challenge is bringing that specific spark into real everyday life, right? So I want to ask, Baiba, about your passion in the middle of an ordinary week process. You say there's more to life than living for weekends and vacations. So, how can someone reconnect with passion in the middle of an ordinary, demanding week?
Yeah. How can we? I love this question, and I love how you talked about the taste of freedom,
Mm,
um, and that leading into that taste of freedom more and more,
mm,
because you really came here in this world. You are freedom. So it's a little bit sad in a way that you have to think about as a taste of freedom,
mm,
because your soul, your essence is free. So you definitely want to taste it more and more in your everyday, busy, like you said, week. So one of the practical things, I think it's more of a really kind of realizing and coming to an awareness of your day to day. So a practical exercise, if you will, because like alignment and all these words, right, sound so out there. And what does it really mean? And um, like just over the next week, next few days, like write down how much or how many of your activities and how much of what you're doing is like make two columns. One is of your own making, of your own choice, something that you would do no matter what, that you are joyful to do, that you love doing. It's of your own choosing. So
mm,
it is a life, no matter if they paid you, didn't pay you, whatever, right? Your essence would choose to do it. And then the second column, write down everything that if you had $5 million in the bank, uh, you would not do. So it's responsibilities, all the things that you are doing because you have a job, because you have a family, because you have kids, because you have to. Essentially, it's a weight on your shoulders. And if you could choose, you would ditch it all tomorrow. So,
mm,
first, really coming to a realization how much of your own life are you living today versus how much I call it. I actually have several podcasts recorded about this. So my podcast is called Career and Technicolor, and it's all about like encouraging people to activate your purpose. And I share a lot of practical tips and visualizations and manifestation meditations, but I call it a track, right? So this is a great exercise to start waking up to how much are you running a track, if you think about a racetrack that's of your own making, versus how much time are you spending, how much of your life force are you spending running somebody else's race?
mm. Yes, yes. I feel like the step, practical step that you shared is so much simple for listeners to do. It sounds like, but do you know Venn diagram? Venn diagram? Yes, that sounds like a Venn diagram to me. You can make as many circles as you want, but you can start with one circle that has your likes, that the stuff that you like doing, and the other circle that has responsibilities. It may be a response duties that you need to do for responsibility. It may be money, it may be for family. And then you try to look at the common point, the common space where some stuff from the stuff that you like doing also come under stuff that you have to do for responsibility. Maybe I'm thinking our listeners can find the common ground in the Venn diagram where they realize that the stuff they like doing is also the stuff they need to do because of their responsibility. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking that may be a nice way, that may be a nice, good, easy first step that doesn't like force you to come out of your comfort zone and just helps you and gives you the slight push to start this inner alignment process.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I love it. It's beautiful. I will say, if you're looking for your purpose, the overlapping aspect probably will be very small. And what you will
Mm,
come out is just realizing how much bigger the circle of your
mm.
quote unquote responsibilities is than the ones that you would choose to keep on your own.
Yes, yes, yes. I agree. I agree. And maybe people can just get a visual data as to understand the life they're living. How much is that they're doing it for for themselves, and how much of it is they're doing it for responsibilities, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would question everything, right? The responsibilities imposed by who, said by who, right? We just have adopted all of these beliefs, for the lack of
Mm.
better word, all of these quote unquote truths that are not absolute truth. So,
Yes.
and it's not going to be like a comfortable journey. Like if somebody is searching for comfort, they're not going to search for their purpose because the
Mm.
transition, the comfort is getting you the results that you have right now,
Yeah.
today. So the choice is it really that comfortable? Because you can have built a house of cards with running all the responsibilities, showing up for work that drains your soul. But is it really comfort?
Is it true? Yes, it's like finding your true comfort rather than deluding yourself that the life that you have right now is comfortable life. And also, Bible, for people who feel authenticity feels risky or disruptive, I would like to ask a question for them. Many people fear stepping into a bold, authentic path because it feels risky. How do you help someone move through that fear of disappointing others or disrupting stability?
So at the end of your life, what will matter more? Disappointing others or disappointing yourself?
Mm,
Like, you just have to remember how powerful you are. You are a powerful soul. You're a powerful, magnificent creator
mm,
of this life. So you are bold.
yes, yes. And Bible, which also makes me wonder, I believe in your life too, there should have been a point where you you realize you can let go of expectation that others made for you. So can you speak about, can you just explain what was going through in your mind during those moments where you realize that, yes, I am capable of letting go of,
Mm.
expectations that are made for me by others? So, what goes in your mind when you realize that?
So I will say for me, it hasn't been a one-time process.
Mm.
It's an ongoing layers of this, right? You kind of like you come to different awarenesses, right? Of that you're doing this on different levels. At least I did, and I'm still like observing. I'm still waking up, right, to new levels of my own truth, of my own boldness, of my own um, where I am fulfilling expectations of others. So, one example, definitely at work, right? When I was in corporate, so it's a big shift right now that I've done is that I switched from a corporate structure to building building purpose of my own and building the expression of it completely on my own terms, on my own expectations. So I went from the external expectations, right? What a boss, what, leadership, what clients, what all these other people, right, expected of me to like you said, the kind of the more the inside out approach, and it's a complete like 180. So that would be one of the ways. But then there's also family expectations, right? And everybody wants you to be meek. It kind of goes into everything that you brought up, Charu, right? You said about, kind of the pleasing of others. It runs deep, right?
Mm.
It runs
Yeah.
in my sisters, my mom, you know, family, friends. I mean, everybody, most people want you to be this pleasant, acceptable, non feather ruffling version of you. But, and I'm still, I will say, like I said, it's an ongoing journey. I never feel like I am there at some kind of like arrival point.
Mm.
It's just kind of the next level of me living in and waking up and also being comfortable expressing
Mm.
my own power, my own boldness without toning it down, without needing to be appeasing to others. But I see it as you will never fully activate yourself unless you start kind of thinking of the expectations of your own soul first.
Mm. True, true. From listening to you, this whole inner alignment process for me has been more of a unlearning process rather than learning something new. It's like knowing, realizing that you have to unlearn the stuff that you've been told are right, rather than learning something new, something enlightening. No, it's just unlearning the stuff that you've been told right, because at some point, maybe it isn't the whole truth, I guess. That's how I can put it. So I feel like for our listeners who feel finding purpose is kind of selfish, I would like to tell them that maybe it's not. It's not. Finding purpose, it's not selfish. It's more life giving. And I guess it starts from unlearning the wrong stuff that you've been told are right rather than learning something very bright, something very hard to learn, I guess. Right, Baiba?
Yes, Charu, you summed it up beautifully. You are an old soul. I love it. Like so many amazing things that you said. And I would invite you to think if you, this whole selfishness, right? Dialogue and beliefs and just so much noise around that.
Mm.
But I would invite you to entertain this or to really sit with this is when you step into your own era, when you are the most selfish in the best of ways that you actually start to see, hear, and march to the drum of your own essence, this is where you can give most to the world, to your family, maybe. So many times, if people have a hard time being quote unquote selfish, as you said it, for themselves, then think about what do you want for your child if you have children, right? What do you want for your son or daughter? Sometimes we need that extra push. Like, if you can't do it for yourself, then be it for them. Because it's nothing that you will say, nothing that you will preach. It is the way you will live that will have the biggest ripple effects on your daughters, on your sons, on your friends, on your family, and on the world, whoever you want to serve.
Yes, yes, true. I feel like that's very well said because you can't give your best when you're not your best self. So that sums up very beautifully. Thank you, Bible, for that. And for our listeners who would love to connect with you, can you please tell them the ways to do so?
Yes, please come join me on Career and Technicolor podcast. I'll send you the link, or if you can add the link so people can directly navigate to the podcast, come join the community. And I share so many tools and examples and also interviews with other people who have stepped into doing work that makes them feel more fully alive. I think that's what we all want. I think we want to feel alive. Like we wake up on a Monday and we are looking forward to it.
True, true. That's amazing. And yes, the podcast link will be in our show notes. So I request all our listeners to go and check that too. Bye. But thank you very much for coming on the show. It was really fun and insightful to talk to you.
Thank you.
Yes. So today's conversation reminds us that purpose isn't a distant treasure, it's an inner resonance waiting for us to reconnect with it. Whether you're seeking clarity, renewal, or the courage to take the next step, remember that the magic really is inside you. If something in this episode stirred your curiosity or your courage, follow it. Thank you for tuning in. This has been your host, Charu, and you've been listening to Inner Peace, Better Health, where peace is power and overthinking is overrated.